Hello and welcome to a new video guide from Grandstream Networks. In today's video, we're going to talk about UCM RemoteConnect, which is a Grandstream cloud service that allows remote workers and administrators to securely connect to the on-premises UCM6300 series. I will walk you through the initial setup of UCM RemoteConnect and demonstrate how to use certain features offered by UCM RemoteConnect. I will also demonstrate how to register Grandstream Wave and an IP desk phone to the UCM through RemoteConnect. UCM RemoteConnect is a cloud service that integrates with UCM6300 series to help securely connect remote workers and devices to the on-premises VoIP infrastructure. UCM RemoteConnect is offered through Grandstream Device Management System, or GDMS, which is the Grandstream cloud-based management platform used to provision, manage, monitor, and troubleshoot Grandstream devices. With that said, UCM RemoteConnect is a service that is offered within GDMS. When UCM RemoteConnect is enabled on the UCM6300 series, it will get assigned a unique domain name that remote workers can use to register to the UCM and securely route their phone traffic through GDMS. Remote workers can connect to the UCM through the assigned domain name using Grandstream Wave or an IP phone. Another great benefit of using RemoteConnect is the automated NAT firewall traversal, which is basically a secure tunnel between the on-premises UCM and GDMS. Without UCM RemoteConnect, remote users would need to connect to the on-premises UCM using a public IP address, which will require the network administrator to create firewall rules to allow traffic on specific ports and from specific IP addresses. This approach usually requires knowing the port and the IP addresses that need to be allowed on the firewall, which can lead to opening a door for unauthorized and malicious traffic to penetrate your network, especially when there are mobile devices that need to connect to the UCM, and it is almost impossible to predict which IP addresses the mobile devices will connect from. So you usually end up opening certain ports to all IP addresses, and this can pose a security risk. So UCM RemoteConnect can serve as an additional security protection because all connections to the UCM go through GDMS without exposing your network information and without the need to open any port for remote workers. With UCM RemoteConnect, a PBX administrator can remotely access the web interface of the UCM without having to create port forwarding on the router. In a moment, I will demonstrate how that works. So let's log into my GDMS account to show you how to set up UCM RemoteConnect with UCM6300 series. So the UCM RemoteConnect configuration is done under the UCMRC system. So basically there are two systems here. There is the VoIP system for endpoint devices, and there's the UCMRC for UCM RemoteConnect. So we're just going to stay here. Let me close that one. And then to add a UCM 6300 series to your GDMS account, you go to UCM device. As you can see, I already have one UCM added to my GDMS account. To add a new UCM, you just click on add device, you assign it a name. If this is for XYZ company, you just enter the name, then you include the MAC address of the UCM and the initial password. The MAC address and the initial password are printed in the sticker on the back of the UCM, and then you choose a site that you would like to assign it to. For example, I can choose the default site here and then add the device. Since I already have the device added, we can go ahead and look at what information does GDMS show about the UCM that we just added. So here it shows the MAC address of the UCM, the name that we assigned to it, the model, and the firmware version that is currently running on the UCM6300 series. And here it provides the server addresses that users can use to connect to the UCM. Usually you would see 4 addresses. So the first one is for internal TLS, there's UDP, and this is the IP for TCP, and this is the unique domain name that GDMS will assign to your UCM once you add it to your GDMS account. And this domain name always uses TLS, so it does not use UDP, so you must configure an endpoint device to use TLS. And here it shows the plan, so I have a plus plan. I already purchased this plan, so when you add your device for the first time, it's going to provide you with a plus plan for 3 months, which is a free trial. And after that, it's going to revert back to basic plan. If you want to learn more about these plans, you just go to UCMRC.gdms.cloud and you can go to the plans section. So as you can see, there are 4 paid plans and there's the free plan, which is basic. And here it provides you the information related to each plan. So for the plus plan, as I mentioned, you have a 3 months trial that you can use on your UCM. After the plan expires, you can either upgrade to one of these plans or it will automatically revert to basic plan. So let's go back to GDMS. So this is the site that we decided to assign this UCM to. And then here we have some options. So this is the icon that allows you to have remote access to the PBX. So basically, once you click on this option, it's going to open the web interface of the remote UCM by creating a tunnel between GDMS and UCM. We're going to look into that in a moment, but before that, let's go ahead and talk about the other settings. So under device details, once you click on it, it's going to provide you with information regarding the extensions on the UCM, the devices, as well as the IP addresses. And then here it provides you with call statistics and some alert events. For example, here I have 2 alert events. I believe this happened when we had a power outage. And then if you go to basic reports, it gives you reports regarding each day. So for example, if you take October the 6th, it tells you the firmware version that was running on that specific date, as well as the storage amount, the cloud storage, how many calls were made during that day, total remote calls, and maximum remote sessions. So a lot of information that you can use for analysis. Then you have system information, which is basically the same one that you find when you log into the UCM web interface. Then here it provides you with information regarding your plan, when it's going to expire, and the type of plan you are currently running on your UCM. You can also print the invoice for accounting purposes. So let's go back to the UCM device. The next icon is for diagnostics. So once you click on that icon, it takes you to the diagnostics section. So you have multiple options that you can try here. One of them is UCMRC connection. So if you notice that you have some issues when connecting through the UCM RemoteConnect URL, you can run the start diagnosing. Pretty much look the same like this one. So it just scans for the SIP channel, the WebSocket, the turn, and the stun. So it's important that these protocols work on the UCM RemoteConnect server. Don't worry about Cloud IAM because I don't have that one enabled. We're going to look into it later. There's also the option where you can ping devices like external IP or an internal IP. So here I have the internal IP of my UCM. So if someone reported that there's a phone that is not connecting to the UCM, I can actually use the ping tool from GDMS and ping that specific IP phone to see if it's actually reachable on the network. So here, as you can see, I have 10 packets sent and 10 received. So the connection between the UCM and that specific device is successful. There's also the option to take syslog, capture trace from GDMS instead of log into the web interface of the UCM and run pcap traces. You can actually do it from GDMS. There's also network diagnostics, and here it also provides some information regarding the system status. The system status basically provides us with information regarding the storage, the CPU, and memory. All right, let's go back here. If we go to this option here, we're going to see a list of other options. One of them is edit device. So when you click on edit device, this is the MAC address. You can change the name, you can change the site to which you want to assign this UCM. A site on the GDMS basically works like a department or a company with multiple locations, or you can also use it as an organizational unit. You can add your remarks here. The server access, so when you disable this option, remote devices will not be able to register to the UCM using that unique domain name, which is this one. Some installers, they like to use the UCM RemoteConnect just to provide them with the option to have remote access to the UCM, because they have all the internal extensions in the same private network, so they don't need to allow remote access from outside. So they basically just disable this option and keep only the remote access option. You just select the cloud service region. So I'm using Miami because it's in the east coast of the United States. And this is the unique domain name that GDMS assigns to my UCM. There's also the option where you can customize the third level domain name. So as you can see here, the UCM uses the MAC address of the UCM and use it as a part of the domain name. In case you want to customize that one, let's say you want to use XYZ, you just add XYZ, and that's going to be your new domain name. So let me just remove that one. There's also the option where you can customize the domain name. So personalize the domain name, you still have to use that top level domain name. But if you want to customize it, like you can have something like xyz.com, you need to use this option. And this option is available only on specific plans. So for example, if we come here under the custom top level domain name FQDN, this option is available only on business and enterprise plans. Since I'm running the plus plan, this option is not available. That's why it is grayed out here. All right, so let's just close this one. UCMRC settings. So once I click on that one, it's going to take me to the web interface of the UCM. So this option that I just clicked on right now, it's pretty much the same as this one, which is remote access to PBX. So if I click on this one, this option, GDMS will generate a random and unique domain name to log in to the web interface of the UCM. And this domain name will only be available for 3 hours. So once I log in using that domain name to the UCM after 3 hours, I would need to go back to GDMS and click on this icon. So something that you have noticed is that when it took me to the web interface, it prompted me to log in using the username and password. So if I go to RemoteConnect on the UCM, which is available right here, and then if I go to plan settings, there is an option here that says enable passwordless remote access. So if I check this one, save and apply, next time if I click on this option, it's going to take me straight to the web interface and log in automatically without prompting me to enter the login password. The other options that you have here is custom wave logo. This option is grayed out because it's part of the business and enterprise plan. So I need to have either the business or enterprise plan to have that option available for me. So that's why it's grayed out here. You can also back up the UCM data to your GDMS. There's the option for authorization management. You will only need to enable this option if you contact Grandstream support and we ask you to enable this option. So basically, if I set that one to this amount of time, you basically allow us to have access to your UCM through the GDMS admin portal. And we usually do this for troubleshooting purposes. So you only enable this option if the Grandstream support team requests you to do that. You also can access the operation logs, so you see who made any changes on the UCM. What other options we have here? There's the option to upgrade, to reboot the UCM, or to delete the device in case you want to remove that UCM from this organization to another one. Regarding the UCMRC plan, if you need to upgrade your plan, you need to contact your supplier to check if they have access to the UCMRC payment system so they can purchase the plan for you. If you can't get that information, you can use the cart icon available here. And one of the options is I want to purchase UCM RemoteConnect plan. Once you click on it, you will be prompted to enter information related to your UCM so you can get a response on how to purchase UCMRC plan. In a situation where you have UCM6200 or UCM6500 and you want to convert the backup from that system and upload it to a new UCM6300 series, GDMS provides you with the convert config file tool that you can use to upload your UCM6200 or 6500 backup into here, and then you choose the model that you want to convert it to. So let's say I have UCM6300-02. I can choose that model, then I can select the UCM that I would like to upload that backup to. Since I only have one UCM, it's only showing one, but if you have multiple UCMs managed from the same interface, it will show you multiple ones, so you can choose which one you want to upload it to. The storage section of GDMS, you can also use it to upload your backup, CDR, recordings, and chat data. So let's go back here to the UCM. So if I go to maintenance, backup, if I want to take a backup, it's going to provide me with an option right here, like local storage or GDMS cloud. I can select this option if I want to store my backup on my GDMS account. The second option is schedule a backup. So in addition to SFTP and external storage, you can also use GDMS Cloud Storage, so you can schedule a time interval where to upload the backup of your UCM6300 series to your cloud storage on GDMS. Alright, so I'm just going to go back here to the Remote Connect features available on the UCM. So when you click on this option, there's the plan tag, which basically provides you the information regarding your plan. For example, I have a plus plan. I can have 8 concurrent calls, and I can have up to 50 remote registrations. In other words, I can have up to 50 devices registered to my UCM remotely using UCMRC, but I can only have 8 of them active at a time, which means only 8 of them can make and receive calls at a time. I always get access to 1 GB of storage from GDMS. In case 1 GB is not enough for you, you can also purchase one of those add-on options, and one of them is an extra 50 GB storage that you can add to your GDMS account. Let me go back here. There's some information that we're going to need. Let me just copy that one because we're going to need that information when we configure a SIP endpoint to register to the UCM through UCMRC. This is the link that we're going to use for GrandStream Wave, and this is the link that will be used with SIP endpoint devices. I'm going to show you in a moment how to register GrandStream Wave and SIP endpoint to the UCM through UCMRC. When we go to the plan settings, there's this option which is SIP extension sync, which is enabled by default. So if I go back to GDMS, let's go back to VoIP and system. Once you add your UCM6300 series to your GDMS account, the extension configuration on your UCM will sync automatically with your GDMS account. So for example, I have these extensions on my UCM, so they were synced automatically to my GDMS account. And the extensions that are automatically synced always have this icon UCM in this color next to them. So if I add an extension manually, it's not going to show this icon. And by default, when the extensions are synced automatically to GDMS, they're going to use the local IP address of the UCM. I can change that by simply going to edit and go to SIP server. If I want to use the UCMRC domain name, I can simply click on this link. So for extension 1066, if I want to assign this one to a remote device, I can simply go to device management and select this extension, and it will automatically use this domain. All right, let's go back to the UCM. The other option is Media NAT Traversal Service. This option must be checked if you're going to be using the UCMRC URL with Grandstream waves. The other option is alert events sync. So this option, you check it in case you want to sync the system events that you configure on the UCM and the system events here, so that they can sync with your GDMS account. There's also the option of remote login alarm. So if someone tries to log into UCM through GDMS, if you go to this page, it's going to show you the location where they tried to connect from. So as I mentioned earlier, the cloud storage on the GDMS, you can use it for CDR, backup, recording, and chat data. So if I want to record my CDR information to GDMS storage, I can check this box. We talked about the enable passwordless remote access. So when you click on this icon on GDMS, it will not prompt you for the password. So this option right here. So it's going to take you straight to the web interface of the UCM and log in automatically. And when you log into the UCM for the first time from GDMS, you will also see this prompt right here. You can also enable this option from here just by clicking on enable, or you can disable it by simply clicking on ignore. The other option is the enterprise UI customization. This option is not available on the Plus plan. So you need to have the business or enterprise plan so you can have the option to customize the user interface. This is the GDMS Cloud Storage space on the UCM. It basically gives you information on how much storage space is being used, and for each category: CDR, backup, recording, and chat messages. So the next step is how to register endpoint devices to the UCM through UCMRC. So the easy way to do that is use the email notification. So you have three options here. There's the extension information mail, which includes the SIP settings. In case you want to send the registration information for Grandstream Wave to a user, you can use the Wave Welcome Mail, which includes the QR code that they can scan with their iOS or Android Wave app. Just make sure that the extension is already configured with an email so that the UCM will be able to send that person an email with that information. The other option is the remote registration mail, which includes both the settings for both Wave and SIP endpoint. So the one to the left is a Wave welcome email example, and the one to the right is for the remote registration email. As you can see, the Wave welcome mail includes only settings for Wave app. It includes the link for the private IP address. So in case Grandstream Wave is trying to register to the UCM from the same private network, it can use that URL. Otherwise, if the device is remote, it can use the UCMRC FQDN. Here is the login name and the password associated with that extension. If they are using Grandstream Wave on iOS and Android, they can simply scan the QR code to upload that information automatically. For remote registration mail, in addition to Wave registration settings, which are similar to the one that we talked about here, there is the SIP setting for remote registration for SIP endpoint devices. So if you want to register a desk phone to the UCM through UCMRC, you need to use the FQDN : plus port 5061, SIP user ID, authenticate ID, and the SIP password. And we also need to set the NAT traversal to stun and enter your stun address. And of course, you need to make sure that the SIP transport mode is set to TLS. So let's log in first to Grandstream Wave. So again, if you have Grandstream Wave on your iOS or Android device, you can simply scan the QR code and you should be all set. Otherwise, in case you want to use the Grandstream Wave client on your computer, you copy the link that's included right here. So you just copy it here. The login name is going to be 1000 and the password is going to be this password. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. Then log in. So once I log in, as you can see, the icon will turn green as a sign that the account is registered. You can test your microphone and your speaker, and you can also select which audio inputs and output you want to use. So I'm okay with that. So this is regarding Grandstream Wave. Let's go ahead and log into an IP phone and see how to register an IP phone to the UCM through UCMRC URL. Alright, so now I'm connected to my GRP 2615. So let's go ahead and configure account 2 to register to the UCM using the UCMRC URL. So I'm going to click on accounts, go to account 2, set the account to active. The account name, I can just simply enter 1000. For the SIP server, this is the URL that we need to copy. So just make sure that the link doesn't have HTTPS at the front, and also make sure it has 5061 as the SIP ports. For the SIP user ID, we're going to include 1000. The authentication ID is going to be 1000 as well. And then we need to copy this password and just paste it, save, and apply the changes. The next thing that is mentioned here in the instructions is we need to set the NAT traversal to stun. So I'm going to scroll down and go to NAT traversal and change that one to stun, save, and apply the changes. The next change is make sure you include the stun server address. So for that, we need to go to general settings and look for stun server, which is right here. Let me just move this one a little bit. So the stun server, we need to go back to the UCM again. All right, and copy that information from the UCM. Then just paste it here, save and apply. It's going to prompt us to reboot, so I'm just going to cancel for now. I'm going to reboot later. The other option that we need to change is the transport mode. We need to set it to TLS, so we need to go back to account. Then we need to go to SIP settings and look for transport mode. By default, it is set to UDP, so I will change that one to TLS. Save and apply the changes. If I go back to status, account status, you will see that the account now is registered to the UCM using the UCMRC URL. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave us a comment below if you have a request for any future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date with all our videos. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.